Okay, here we are. Just have to quickly check. Yeah, okay, brilliant. How are you? How are you on this Monday? I hope you're well. Yeah, it's fine if you're not. Not every day is going to be great. Right, we're going to do a bit of meditation. This is part of the further emergence work I do. If you're curious about further emergence, I'll explain all about it at the end. If you're an experienced meditator, brilliant. Can you hang on for a minute though while I explain what I do, just for the benefit of people who are new to meditation? Because that's what I do on Mondays. I explain what I do for new people. Wednesday and Friday, it's just meditation, but today I'll explain. So it's not a class, but I will explain what I do. Now, there's lots of different types of meditation. This is what I do. For me, it starts with why I would meditate. I am trying to connect to a part of me that I connect to every night when I'm asleep. Not the dreaming bit, the bit after dreaming. So I'm sort of dreaming and then I drop out the bottom of dreaming into deep dreamless sleep where I have no thoughts, no emotions, no feelings, no personality, no thoughts, no body really, no bedroom, no bed, no house, no nothing. Everything's gone, including me. I sort of stop existing, certainly in the way that I normally register my existence. Which, I mean, that all sounds awful, doesn't it? That sounds like death. Yet, I love going to sleep, and when I wake up in the morning, I feel refreshed. So some part of me knows that wherever I go to, it's good. It's a good place. And that's where I want to go to when I meditate. I just want to do it consciously. So, straight away, if you're new to meditation, don't try this lying down. Because chances are you'll fall asleep. And if you don't fall asleep, there's a good chance that you'll battle sleep, both of which are very kind of counterproductive to what you're trying to do. So sit up. You don't have to sit in a lotus position or anything like that. I'm just sitting in a chair. If you're going to sit in a chair, make sure it's not a super comfy armchair that you might fall asleep in, because you'll just be into that side of things again. So, as I said, no thoughts in this place that I go to. For some reason, my mind can't get there. It's almost like a room that I have to go into, and my mind has to wait outside the door. So, I need to get my mind on board, and that's quite important. But if you're just starting, it's not usually an issue, because if this is the first time you've meditated, your mind will be into it. It'll be excited. Ooh, it's something different, because mind's like new and different things. It only becomes an issue having your mind on board, after the 10th or 20th time that you meditate. Then it's like your mind knows the drill, and it's not new and novel anymore. And if that's a problem for you, then leave a comment and I can answer it at the other end. So mind is on board. That's good. That's important. Then the next thing is to stop thinking. Now, that is easier to do than it sounds. It's easy to stop, because regardless of what I'm thinking about, which would be the content of my thoughts, the structure of my thoughts, it's always the same. It's always pictures and sound. So if I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound, that's it. I'm not thinking. And as soon as I do that, I'm into the practice of meditation. Now, the practice of meditation runs parallel to the intention of meditation. So the intention is to go to this deep, still, calm, profound, mysterious, Zen-like, all those words that are used to describe meditation. That's my intention. The practice of meditation runs parallel with it and pretty much goes, I turn off the pictures, I turn off the sound, I bring myself to not thinking. Then some time passes and I discover I'm thinking again. I go, oh, I'm thinking again, fine. Turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time passes and I discover that I'm thinking again. Oh, I'm thinking again. So I turn off the pictures, I turn off the sound, I bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time passes, I discover I'm thinking again, and so on. So it's pretty simple, really. Every time I discover I'm thinking, I bring myself back to not thinking. And it's important to know that thinking can happen in meditation, because it's very easy to get the misconception that in order to meditate correctly, you can't be thinking at all, which isn't the case. As I say, the intention of meditation, the practice, they go together. They sort of do a little dance. Sometimes you'll be very deep and still, other times you'll be discovering that you're thinking. But both are powerful in their own way. It's very powerful when you're deep and still and you can feel all the changes in your body and your nervous system settles down, and it's brilliant. But it's also very powerful when you're discovering that you're thinking, because if you're like me, the sorts of things that you think about are all to do with you. So I'll be thinking, what did I do that for? Why did I say that to that person? Why did that person say that thing to me? And so on, right? So say I'm in meditation and then I'm thinking and I'm having one of those kind of thoughts. And then I go, oh, I'm thinking, right, fine. I better turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Indirectly, what I'm demonstrating to myself when I do that is, you know that thought that you just had that you thought was you and that you were it? Well, you just made that disappear. You just like, poof, gone. So you're obviously not that thought. In fact, you're not any of your thoughts. You're something different. So that's very powerful. And then the fact that you do that repeatedly is very powerful as well. So the main thing is, the golden rule is, every time you discover that you're thinking, bring yourself back to not thinking. If you do that, you're doing great. You're doing fine. Steel Desert is saying, hello, John. Hello, Steel Desert. So, okay, we've got the thinking thing sorted out. That's good. Now, while all that's going on, I'm also becoming a bit more conscious of my body, and in particular, tension in my body. So what I do is I scan my body from my head down to my feet and back up again very slowly, very gently. Anywhere I find tension, I let it go. And I use my out breath to let it go, because it's natural to just breathe it away. But it's also a good way of remembering to breathe, because it's really easy to hold your breath during meditation. That sounds crazy, but it's true. Or to stop breathing altogether. So using the out breath is a good way of not doing that. The other thing I do is, as I'm scanning my body, I'm spending a little bit more time focus on areas, structures in my body that go across, transverse sites. Because mostly my body's longitudinal, runs from head to toe. Anywhere that goes across ways, it operates a little bit like a log going across a stream. I can pick up the twigs and the branches and anything that's coming down the stream, except in my body, it's tension. So I'm spending a little bit more time on my eyes, a little bit more time on my jaw, tongue, base of my neck, shoulder girdle. All my joints are transverse sites as well, so shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers, heart area, respiratory diaphragm, all my intestines, pelvic floor, hips, knees, ankles and toes. Having a nice quiet room to meditate in is very helpful when you're starting out, because one of the things that triggers thoughts is sound, and as soon as you close your eyes, your hearing amplifies. So the quieter the room, the better. Less interruptions, the better. The other thing that I do to help my mind have less things to think about is I set a timer for how long I'm going to meditate for. So I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes, but if you're new to meditation, I'd encourage you to set yours for 5 minutes and then just repeat that 3 times, because 15 minutes is a long time if you're not used to it. I know that sounds crazy as well, but it's surprising. If you set it for 15 minutes and it's your first time meditating, by around the 7th minute your mind will be gone. You didn't set the timer. Your watch is blown up, or your watch is stopped, or the internet connection is broken, or whatever. So yeah, 5 minutes and then repeat that 3 times. Okay, and then on the other side, I'll explain about further emergence. Okay, so let me set my timer. Okay, off we go then into the mystery. time. So open your eyes whenever you're ready. So, as I said, these meditations are part of the further emergence work I do. Further emergence is to do with growth, inner growth, growth on the inside. So growth in awareness, growth in consciousness. You could call it spiritual growth, that kind of growth, because your body pretty much stops growing when you become an adult, but you keep growing on the inside. That doesn't stop. That continues on for your whole life. You only have to think about who you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago to see that you've grown, that you've changed, you're different. And just like when you were a kid, you might have gone through periods of accelerated growth. You know, they're called growth spurts. The same thing happens on the inside. You go through inner growth spurts, and they continue for the rest of your life. Big difference is, though, that when you were a kid and you were going through a growth spurt and you went to your parents and said, oh, I've got pains in my legs, or I've got pains in my shins, or wherever you had the growing pains, your parents wouldn't have rushed you to hospital. They wouldn't have said, oh my God, there's something wrong with you. They would have said, yeah, that's terrible, but that's natural. It'll pass. It's much harder to know that when you're an adult, you know, and you're 25 or you're 35 or you're 45 and you're going through an inner growth spurt. There's a much bigger space to feel like there's something wrong, that it's not natural, and that you're broken in some way or another. So further emergence is about supporting growth generally, and then specifically for those inner growth spurts. And we do it in a number of ways. There's these meditations. So these are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And meditation is great because it's a chance to get to know your inner landscape better. And because the more you know your inner landscape, the easier it is to navigate the inner growth spurts. So these meditations are great for that. And it's a sort of, you can put it in your diary kind of thing. You can go, oh, okay, so John's going to be there at 3 o'clock doing his meditation. I'm going to use that to get into it and join along. You can watch them afterwards, of course, but they're better if you do them. If we do them together. If we do it together. Then there's retreats. Retreats happen every 2 weeks. Just had one on Saturday, and they are long. They're like 4 hours, and it really is a retreat. It's a chance to come back from your life, particularly if you're going through a growth spurt, but just if you're conscious of your growth in general. So it's a chance to take a bit of a step back from your life. We do some longish meditations. We do 3 longish meditations, about half an hour each. I mean, the whole retreat takes about 4 hours. And then there's a combination of the meditation and then questions, talking, feedback, reflection, interaction. And that's really helpful if you're in the middle of a growth spurt, because you can kind of see, oh, okay, I'm not the only person going through this. Because it can feel very isolating when you're going through an inner growth spurt. So the retreats are great for that. And if you're curious about, well, what do they actually look like, they're on YouTube. There's a podcast, that's the audio from the retreats, so you can get a sense of what that's like. And again, if you're curious about them, if you want to come to one of them, go to the website, furtheremergence.com, you'll find out all about that. I also see people for one-to-one sessions. And that's helpful because particularly if you're going through an inner growth spurt, how that manifests can be very individual. So it's just really helpful to get very specific feedback for your situation. So there's a part of it is talking, and then I also do some behind the scenes work as well. So I've been a craniosacral therapist for a long time, and I use my craniosacral skills, bring them to bear for that part. So that's when we turn the camera off, person lies down, and I sort of work on them remotely. Not really sure how that works. Something to do with quantum physics. I mean, I know how the craniosacral side of it works and my end of it, but I'm not completely sure how me doing something here in Ireland affects somebody in Canada or Spain or wherever I'm working with them. But it works, and that's the main thing. And what it does is it helps to harmonize your system for the process that you're going in. Because further emergence can manifest in all sorts of different ways. Everything from like emotional pain to spiritual pain to physical pain. So the one-to-ones are good for that. Can't see a lot of people, unfortunately. I can't see somebody saying, what's the site again? Furtheremergence.com. Furtheremergence.com is the site. I can't see a lot of people. I can only see 8 people a week, so you might have to wait. So there's that. Then I've written 4 books, all roughly around the subject of further emergence. So you could go and read them as well. They're great. Obviously, I'm going to say they're great. So if you're still with me, you've listened all the way to this point, maybe something's ringing a bell for you. There's something resonating for you. In which case, I would encourage you to just let that tell you what the next thing for you to do is, whether that's just to keep doing the meditations with me, to find out about the retreats, to listen to the podcast maybe, to get in touch for some one-to-one work, to read a book, or none of the above. That part of you will know what the right thing for you to do is. So, thanks very much for meditating with me, and I will see you on Monday for some more meditation. Bye.